Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're hearing from the Athletics, Shams Charania, that the Spurs are expected to start Victor Wembanyama at power forward with Zach Collins starting at center. I want to hear your thoughts right now down below in the comment section. What do you guys think? Zach Collins, after they traded Jakob Poeltl, averaged like 16 and 10 to close out the year with a block and a half, and he shoots three-pointers. But allegedly, they expect Victor Wembanyama to play power forward, the four position, to start off his NBA career. And the Spurs will look for Zach Collins to be a guy to provide size next to Victor Wembanyama in the front court. And it's a good idea to avoid injuries in his first year. And you have to like that, because having him battle guys like Steven Adams and Jonas Valanciunas isn't going to be the most ideal thing for him to start off his career. You rather him bang up against like a Kyle Kuzma, all right, and those guys. And I think it's definitely going to be interesting, because I've always loved Zach Collins. And I don't know. I think when you look at a team that is like the Spurs, that they definitely could be a play-in team. I just think having your best players on the floor, which I think Zach Collins is one of their better players. Like, we assume the starting lineup then is going to be Zach Collins, Victor Wembanyama, Kelvin Johnson, Devin Vassell, and probably Trey Jones as of right now. And that's really not a bad lineup. And if you really wanted to, you could have Devin Vassell be your point guard, Kelvin Johnson be your shooting guard, Jeremy Sohan as your small forward, Victor Wembanyama at power forward, and Zach Collins at center, which again would not shock me. And I think it just comes down to, putting your best players on the floor and surrounding Victor Wembanyama with, defense and size and everything you'd want. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? I definitely think, the opportunity that we've had and to see our guy grow already in the summer league. I think like his summer league highlights were awesome. All right, like we really got to enjoy to see Vic out there, and he looked good. And one game was okay, he wasn't the best, and the next game he made up for it. But I think, the size, the body, the weight thing was always going to be an issue that realistically was going to take a few years to address. And I don't blame him. But I'm not worried at the same time. I'm not sitting here like, oh no, like this is the worst thing to ever happen. No, because Kristaps Porzingis, like, I think he's kind of like Kristaps, where he can play like the 4 and the 5. And I think having a guy like that, and especially they have so many bigs on this team with like Charles Bassey and all the rest of the guys. Like, they have a plethora of backup bigs. So I really don't think this is anything to be concerned about. But I am genuinely curious to hear anybody's, thoughts on like, this is what I expect and why. Because when you have a guy like Vic, generational talent, what are reasonable expectations? And when do those expectations become unreasonable? And for me, I think it's fun to see, it's fun to talk about when you look at a team and you're trying to decide, okay, how is this team going to be better with Victor Wembanyama on the roster, And obviously we're going to assume that like Vic is going to be this, shot blocking menace, and it's going to be like super exciting, because hopefully it will be. We just don't know what's going to happen and why, in terms of if he's going to be strong enough, what's his impact. Because obviously we want to be reasonable, and we want to like realistically talk about a guy who can take the ball, like we saw in summer league, literally go coast to coast with the ball and score for his team on the other end, which is like some of the most insane things we've ever seen a guy do. And I obviously there's always going to be haters. That's just how the sport goes. People are always going to hate. People don't want to see others do well, and people don't want to see other franchises do well. I don't know. I think it's definitely, the Spurs have a very interesting roster. So I'm keen to see how they will attempt to harness Victor Wembanyama and utilize him to the best of their ability so they can be like a play-in team this year, is my assumption. That's where I do find all of this very, very interesting, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Maybe I'm wrong, okay? Maybe I'm wrong, and I'm fine with that, to be honest. I will never, ever be mad about being wrong, because being wrong is a part of, the human experience, if we had to say. And I don't know, when I look at the San Antonio Spurs right now, I think having the opportunity to continue to play your best players on the floor at any given moment is huge. And one second, I'm gonna sneeze, guys. Sneeze. Oh my god, I was just trying to like hold that off, and I couldn't. You know when your hair follicles start going up, and it's like, oh. But yeah, it's just also because Vic, not only can he shoot, score, defend. I mean, the size is the only question, but he can pass, he can facilitate. Like, he can do a multitude of things, which I think NBA franchises will enjoy and value. So I think that's one of the more important things, and that's where I think a lot of people will just get hung up on the idea that, Chat and Vic are gonna have huge years in terms of what they'll mean to the future of the NBA for these big guys. If people can move like this, definitely it'll be interesting. So I want to hear you guys' thoughts. And I'm like over here looking at things I need to check out, and it's just a funny app. But that's it, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy. Like, comment, and subscribe. Bye, everybody.